The Oscars is an annual American awards ceremony hosted by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences to recognize cinematic achievement in the film industry. This event is meant to host Hollywood's best and brightest, but does it? The Oscars have faced criticism in regard to its lack of acknowledgement of people of color and their contributions to the film industry. Does the Academy have a problem recognizing minority contributions? What is the nomination process and who are the people making the selection? We'll cover all that and more on a special edition of Salute TV, Race for the Oscar. Welcome to a special edition of Salute TV, Race for the Oscars. Lights, cameras, action. The Oscars have this and much more. Industry greats come together and the world watches as cinema's highest awards are presented to its greatest achievers. Still, its best and brightest are often ignored or snubbed when their films are overlooked. In the 87 years of Academy Awards, just 14 men and women of color have earned Oscars. When acknowledgement is given, it's usually for stereotypical portrayal of characters. This year's awards are not without controversy, as no minority films in any category have been nominated. But before we focus on the present, let's take a look at past ceremonies and how ethnicity played a part in them. Since Birth of a Nation, the portrayal of minorities in film have usually been a combination of savages and criminals.
Woo! Just hold on and suck in.
Or slaves and servants happily waiting at their master's feet.
You can take it all back to the kitchen. I won't need to buy it.
But when Hattie McDaniel won her Oscar for her role of Mammy in Gone with the Wind at the 12th Academy Awards, there was hope of industry recognition.
Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science, fellow members of the motion picture industry, and honored guests. This is one of the happiest moments of my life, and I want to thank each one of you who had a part in selecting me for one of the awards.
Fast forward 34 years, and another example literally takes the stage at the 45th award ceremony. Native American actress and activist Sacheen Littlefeather refuses to accept the award for Best Actor on behalf of Marlon Brando. In doing so, she shines another dim light on Hollywood's portrayal of minorities.
Hello, my name is Sacheen Littlefeather. I'm representing Marlon Brando this evening. He very regretfully cannot accept this very generous award. And the reasons for this being are the treatment of American Indians today by the film industry,
And yet the problem rears its head 23 years later as People magazine's cover proclaimed the 68th Academy Awards a Hollywood blackout. Despite being hosted by Whoopi Goldberg, the show was void of any minority characters being nominated. 20 years later, the players have changed, but the issues still remain. The current lack of diversity brought about this comment from Academy President Cheryl Boone Isaacs. While we celebrate their extraordinary achievements, I am both heartbroken and frustrated about the lack of inclusion. This is a difficult but important conversation, and it's time for big changes. But how will change come? After the nominations were announced, several celebrities stated they wouldn't attend the ceremony, including Jada Pinkett Smith, whose husband Will Smith wasn't nominated for his film Concussion.
Let's let the Academy do them with all grace and love. And let's do us differently. I will not be at the Academy Awards, and I won't be watching.
This isn't the first time a Smith has boycotted an award show. Back in 1989, Will Smith, then the Fresh Prince, refused to attend the 31st Grammy Awards due to its refusal to televise the first rap category, an award he won. The next year, that category was aired.
This is Salute TV's Word of the Street, and I'm Sameepa Shetty. Today, we want to know from the folks of New York, is the Oscar nomination process unfair? Here we go. Hey, you guys, what's your name?
Salvi.
Rachel. All right. Do you think the Oscars are unfair to minorities?
I think given the demographics of minorities that are in film to begin with, it makes sense that there are less minority Oscars given, so I don't think it's that unfair, although it could be more fair.
Who do we have here?
Zachary.
And Zion.
Zachary and Zion, do you guys think that the Oscars are unfair to minorities?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Well, we know as far as Hollywood goes, there's not a lot of us represented, and if we are there, they don't put us in large roles. We don't get casting as the others might, so I think there's a great disparity as far as African Americans in Hollywood, Latinos in Hollywood. It's bad.
I just think they should get nominated more in more movies, and that they should be in the movies longer. And usually I notice, like, usually if they're in the movie, the black people would die first and the whites, so maybe they should be in the movie longer.
Just keep them alive. I mean, that would go a long way. And are the Oscars unfair to minorities?
I think so, yeah. I think a lot of more minorities should have been nominated this year. Yeah, I think that.
Who do you think missed out?
A lot of people. Where can I start? There's a lot of movies. I don't know, so many.
Give me one of your favorite picks and you thought that they completely deserved but didn't get it.
What was that boxing movie? Creed.
Boxing movie?
Yeah, Creed. I think that should have been nominated. Yeah.
Everybody needs a fair shot. Bottom line.
I mean, that's America.
Everybody needs a fair shot. You bring something to the table, it gets evaluated. If it's great, move it on or get rid of it. Simple as that, regardless who, what, when, where. Judge it on its own merits. That's all.
Hey, I want to know from you if you really think that the Oscars are unfair to minorities.
I think what happened this year, it depends really, because one side of it is that there wasn't any diversity, but then the other side of it is maybe there weren't any films that starred minorities that were up to the caliber that they needed to be be deserving of a nomination. But I can definitely see why some people would say that it looked deliberate, but I can also understand the other side that maybe the films just weren't that good. Like, for instance, the film that started the controversy, the Will Smith film, honestly, I didn't really hear that positive of a review for it. So maybe I think Jada Pinkett was just taking it more personally than anything.
So if you had to give Jada one message, like one woman to woman, heart to heart, what would you tell her?
To take it easy.
From diplomacy to just make better movies to just chill out. The word on the street about a lack of diversity in the Oscar nomination process is that there is a word on the street. The best part about having this discussion is that at least we are talking about it. And with that, this is Sameepa Shetty signing off for Salute TV. Back to you in the studio.
Joining us to discuss this is Glenn Daddy-O Bolton, an early voice in hip-hop. Daddy-O founded the groundbreaking rap group Stetsasonic, and their success inspired the alternative hip-hop genre. He has worked with industry heavyweights like Mary J. Blige, the B-52s, Queen Latifah, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He also found time to serve as curator for the Smithsonian's hip-hop anthology exhibit. And he released a solo project currently out now. Daddy-O, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So listen, there's been a lot of controversy in the industry right now about the Oscars and their lack of diversity.
Right.
And I think you would have a unique perspective on that because there's always been a bit of diversity issues in the music industry when it comes to who the performers are and who the power players are.
True.
Give us your insight on that.
Well, as far as the Oscars is concerned, I know a lot of people always get on Stacey Dash, right? But I think she has a point. Like, you can't have it both ways. Very interestingly enough, with it being like kind of a color issue, there's a voice that's brutally silent here, which is Tyler Perry's voice, because he doesn't care. He makes what he makes. He's got more shows on television than Shonda Rhimes. He did a deal with Oprah. He's got like 7 shows a week. You can't have it both ways. Either you're gonna make your own stuff, or you have to be subject to whatever those voting things are. It's the same thing with people saying, well, Kendrick shouldn't have gotten 11 Grammy nods. Then who should we have given it? The people who vote for the Grammys are people like me that's made records before, and if we're listening to Kendrick and we're listening to French Montana, we're gonna give it to Kendrick because we hear instruments and we hear some music. it's not just like a slam on Hollywood.
Right.
I mean, should they have picked some things? They probably should have picked a whole bunch of things.
The Oscars have already recognized several minorities in the past: Denzel Washington, Monique, Halle Berry. Why isn't this enough?
I mean, there are some great black films made that seem to just not matter.
Right.
Right? They just don't seem to get noticed, and they've had decent budgets. They did good numbers in the box office. It's not like they're flops.
Right.
And they don't seem to get noticed. So I think that that's where it is. But I think that you take your hits, is what I'm saying.
Right.
You know, yeah, it didn't get noticed. You say, maybe I get noticed next year, and you don't stop. And you just keep going. But to ask the foreign academy and to ask Hollywood to change her perspective, that's a little far-fetched.
This Academy Award that they're screaming lack of diversity on, well, you have Cheryl Boone Isaac, who is the president of the Academy, African-American woman.
Right.
You have Reginald Hudlin, who is an African-American producer, filmmaker.
Right.
And you have Chris Rock, African-American host.
Mm-hmm.
So would the argument then lean more in the Academy's favor that we are not lacking in diversity, we just didn't pick films that you liked?
I think that could be one perspective. I think the other side of it, and this is just the artist in me, I think it's more artists that feel slighted than anybody else. When you do good work, you want to be recognized for your good work. And so I think that, the whole thing came about because artists are feeling like, I did a good job and nobody noticed who I was.
Stacey Dash recently said there should be no BET, no Black History Month, or anything that separates us as Americans. Should minorities just wait their turn to be recognized and not cry racism when they're not?
She didn't say there should be no BET. She said that if you can't have one, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
Which I totally agree with her. You're gonna do Black Entertainment Television, then you should do Black Entertainment Awards. And if that's only a pickle with a toothpick, then you accept that and you move on. And I'm not at all trying to make it funny, but
right.
I'm just, it takes, race relations in this country is still going to take a ton more time to get cleared up. We're not colorless by any fathom of the imagination, not even in Silicon Valley. So we still have to take time to work these things out.
Should we be taking more of a separatist route maybe and saying, okay, fine, you know what, forget you Oscars, if you acknowledge minority films, then fine, but we're gonna go for the Tyler Perry Award. That kind of feels like maybe that's what people, because right now I understand that Oprah Winfrey, Spike Lee, Jay-Z, and Tyler Perry as well are going to create a whole new award show specifically to address the overlooked.
I think that would be nice. I think this. I think if you with Hollywood, you play Hollywood's game and you take your licks. I mean, nobody in Hollywood is devoid of their licks. Brando didn't walk in. Sinatra didn't walk in. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Cagney didn't walk in. It wasn't like, oh, I'm here, I'm Cagney, and the first movie is Top of the World, Ma.
Right.
It didn't happen like that.
We know you as the frontman and founder for the group Stetsasonic. Mm-hmm. You guys had a lot of great hits in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And then, hip-hop evolves, it changes, and you guys seem to kind of go your separate ways.
What we did is we began to take on other parts of our careers. So I started producing records. Prince Paul started producing records. DBC started inventing things. Delight went to more managing other groups. And, so we didn't really, we still perform.
Right.
When it's right, because we're a band. So, in most cases, when you see an old school show, you usually don't see a band,
right.
a old school hip hop show. So, our only prerequisite is that, if you don't take all 7 of us, you can't have us.
You are also the curator of a hip-hop anthology for the Smithsonian. How did you come to get that?
Well, my brother Chuck D from Public Enemy has been working with the Smithsonian on a few things, and they decided that they wanted to do an African-American museum. And so Chuck D, in all his hip-hopness, was like, hip-hop is African-American history.
Sure.
So we need to kind of figure that out. So he sat down with some of the people there, and we decided to do, initially, an album that's 150 songs. It's curated down to 150 songs. And it's kind of sort of the official hip-hop anthology.
Something to look forward to. Now, last but not least, you have released solo material, and you currently have a song out called Blood Got Shot, Now I Got the Blues in Me. Kind of a long title, but it comes from a very genuine place. Tell me about it.
Well, Blood Got Shot is it's a story about police brutality. It's from my perspective because of my age. So I mean, when I was a kid, there was this kid named Claude Reese that the cop shot. And so that record is really more about like my time than it was this time. It just ended up really being relevant today. So what we did is, we grabbed some like with the video, we grabbed, footage from some of the things that we've seen that's just senseless things that are going on.
Eric Garner.
And we just want to do it to bring awareness. I mean, I think awareness is always the first step to healing.
Thank you for taking the time to share it with us, and continued success on your future endeavors. Daddy-O, Stetsasonic.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for taking the time. Coming up next, The Last Word. You're watching Salute TV. When the Academy Awards began, minorities had little, if any, control over how they were portrayed in films. As we became more influential in the industry, we strove to control our narrative by creating works that reflected our talent. The journey to establish our place in Hollywood has been a difficult one. Maybe now we need to control how our works are rewarded. The Oscars are the crown jewel of award shows. To win one all but cements an actor's success and guarantees major paydays ahead. What if minorities established their own Oscars and rewarded their overlooked actors and actresses? There have been attempts in the past with varying degrees of success, but the equivalent has yet to be reached. There are rumors that Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Spike Lee, Jay-Z, and BET are working to create a version of the Oscars. If this is true, it may be the first step towards balanced representation among Hollywood elites. One can only hope. This has been a special episode of Salute TV, Race for the Oscars. Thanks for watching.